Hi burritos, welcome back to my channel. I haven't posted anything mental health related in a fat minute, and I know you guys were wondering what was going on with my mental health lately, and I just want to say I'm doing a lot better. On the contrary, I also want to answer some of your guys' questions on mental health and see if I can help. I just want to put a fat note out there that I'm not a professional or a doctor, so these aren't actually proven or anything, but these are some ways that I cope with my mental health. Anyways, you guys asked me a variety of different questions related to mental health, so I'm gonna see if I can answer them as best as possible for you. Okay, let's go. How do you deal with thoughts that make a reintroduction after a long time? Personally, I know it's shitty when bad thoughts make a reintroduction after a long time because you really don't want to think about it. I know I'm not the best with dealing with this stuff either, just because when I do get bad thoughts like that, like it just kind of drives me nuts too, because it's almost like I'm suffering in my own memory. But at the end of the day, I really like to tell myself that if I can't change it, I either need to let it go or accept it. I think the reason why we can't get over bad thoughts is because we haven't learned to accept them yet. But if you can come to terms with yourself and accept it, then I think it'll help a lot. Aside from that, I really just try to switch my energy onto a positive note, like just the vibes, you know, the level. I feel like staying on a good frequency of mood is a really important factor. So personally, what I do if I get a really bad thought in my head is I'll give myself some time, if it's like 10 minutes, and I'll really just like stay mad at the situation as much as I can, but I really have to feel it. And then once the 10 minutes is up, go do something else. Like just get over it. I know it's really hard to just like get over it, but I think it's also really important to teach yourself to move on. How do I deal with mental health? Like, what do you do when you feel sad or depressed? As hard as it is, I think it's really important to actually go get up and do something. I figure personally, the more I stay in my bed and not try to do anything, it just makes it worse. It doesn't really do anything for me. So I think really making that like first initiative or like first move to actually get up and go do something is really huge. Also, I think journaling really helps a lot, just because sometimes I feel like I don't understand myself. And a really good way to understand yourself is to actually journal. Once you start writing down all the thoughts that are in your head, it becomes more flowy, like it flows really well. You'll figure it when you write it yourself. And throughout journaling, you could probably figure out why you're so mad at yourself or so sad or what's bothering you, because once you start writing, you just keep writing. But one of the most important steps I feel like is to have a healthy outlet, like journaling, working out, eating good, seeing your friends, etc., etc. What do you do when you are stressed? When I'm stressed, I drop everything that I'm doing. I don't care what it is. I'll just drop everything I'm doing for a second. Because for me, when I get stressed or like overwhelmed, like I can't function. So I need to give myself a little bit of time to cool off. I feel like in comparison, it's almost like taking a power nap. Like if you wake up early and you take a power nap throughout the day, it may be just like 10-20 minutes, but it'll help you a lot feel a little bit more refreshed or energized throughout the day. I feel like it's the same for stress as well. If you're stressed, just drop everything for, I don't care, 10 minutes, half an hour, and cool the fuck down, and then get on with your day. It'll help a lot. How to be confident. Honestly, as much as I hate to say this, this is like all on you. No one can teach you how to be confident. No one can shove confidence up your ass. Like no one can. Like nobody can just give you confidence. If it's anything, confidence comes from loving yourself. What am I, like a fucking psychologist? I like to view it this way. No matter what you look like, if you don't love yourself, you're never going to be happy with yourself. There's a bunch of beautiful celebrities out there that are not confident because they do not love themselves. It's really sad, but that's kind of my point. Only you can view yourself the way you want to. So bottom line, if you change the way you view the world, then the world will be different. Same goes for confidence. If you change the way you view yourself in the mirror, then you'll either look beautiful or you'll look like shit. If I want to give one tip out personally, something that has really helped me grow on my confidence or the way I view the world is reading. Reading has really helped me view things differently. I feel like it gives you like a whole new perspective on how to view even really small things. I remember I didn't read up until I was like 20 because I hated reading. Reading was like torment to me, but as I grew up, I was like, reading is kind of really important. Yeah, reading is something that I really highly want to recommend. It will help you a lot. What is the worst thing about your depression or anxiety? I feel like the worst thing about a mental illness is the fact that when you're so aware of it, right? When you're so aware of it, like you know for sure, that's when it kind of like really hits you. Because personally for me in the past, I figured that I had all of these symptoms, but I didn't believe it because in the back of my head I kind of knew like people with mental illnesses don't believe they have mental illnesses until someone tells them, right? So I thought, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of like overreacting, like no problem, like, you know, yeah, like but after I got my diagnosis and I started to notice like every little thing about my, you know, symptoms and everything, like it kind of really hit me hard. And the harder thing was to actually accept it, like accept myself in terms of like what I was going through or like why I was feeling this way. And it's like, Like, is it okay to feel this way? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do I have to feel like this? Like, why does it have to be me? I'm slowly getting better now, thankfully, but at the beginning when I knew that I had so much fucking work to do in terms of like healing and on myself, that hit me pretty fucking hard, yeah. Because it was almost like I don't know where to start. Like, where am I supposed to start? Like, at this point, it's been so long that I don't even know why I feel this way. But you know, I'm working on it. So, you know, see you at the top. How was your journey on accepting yourself, if there was any journey to begin with? I think accepting myself has been one of the hardest things, and I feel like will be a really hard thing for me for a while. Simply saying, I just done a lot of things that I'm really not proud of. And I have this like really bad habit of blaming myself. Like, I don't blame other people. It's like, if anything bad happens, it's just all on me. It's like, why didn't I do this? Like, why wasn't I like that? Why didn't I look like this? Or, you know, it's like that's simple shit. I don't know. I feel as if now that I have a very like clear view with myself and like where I stand as a person in my life, and because the self-vision has become so clear, I realized that I've been self-justifying my whole life, which kind of sucks. The fucked up thing is, like, I would blame myself, but then at the same time I would be like, well, it was because of, well, I did this because of this and I did this because of that, and I would never admit what I did wrong, if that makes any sense. I wasn't lying to other people, but I was mostly like mainly lying to myself, which kind of fucked me up in the end. It was almost like, ironically, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. I always had like a huge ass front up all the time, and I wanted people to like think I'm cool. I seek for validation a lot. But overall, I think accepting yourself just takes a lot of time and introspecting, and just your efforts in trying to understand yourself is huge. So at the moment, I feel like I'm not close, but definitely some progress going on. How can I enjoy having sex again without thinking about my abuser? Ooh, this is a really hard question. This is a really sensitive topic, so I'm gonna try and keep this as low-key as possible. I think the biggest thing we should come across here in this situation is, it's not your fault. Like, it's really not your fault. First of all, I'm really sorry that happened to you. I think it's really important to realize here at the end of the day that you're just so much more worth than the event that took place. Like, the healing part is really not an overnight thing. You know, I think someone once told me this and it made a lot of sense to me. Every time you have sex with someone, you give a part of your soul away. And it made a lot of sense to me. And I'm really sure in your case that a really big part of your soul was taken away. You know what I would do personally? I would just give myself a lot of time. Like we've recapped earlier on the whole confidence, like self-loving thing, it's really important to love yourself. I know this all like sounds like really cliche and I'm just saying this out of like whatever, but loving yourself is very important. If you eventually come to a point where you can love yourself to mend your own trauma from the event, I really don't know if this answer was much help, but I really want to tell you that you can do it. It's not your fault and you're worth it. So I really hope you win this battle, because one day for sure sex will be enjoyable again. How to convince my parents that I need help. This is kind of a difficult question for me, just because I have really good parents. Like, I have a very loving family environment, so I haven't really been through this type of problem. I know there's some parents out there that don't really take mental health seriously, but what I always tell parents or adults when, you know, because they always say shit like, oh, you're young, why you like that? Like, why do you think you have a mental illness? Like, just get out, just do shit. Like, and I got really irritated, because I'll just look at them and be like, okay, well, we're the same. I might be like 30 years younger than you, but the thing is, we're the same, because I have all the same responsibilities you do, and I have to path my career. There's a lot of weight on our shoulders than you think, right? I got my career, I got my school. Like, for example, you might have your career, you might have school, you have your own responsibilities. If you're living out alone financially, then financial shit, like, fuck, man, that's a lot. So what I'm really trying to say is there's really no difference between us and our parents, or like any adults. The only difference here is age. That's honestly the only difference. I feel like if your parents really refuse to try and understand you, then another good solution is to look for local resources. I'm not sure where your area is, but you can always go on Google and search up local counseling for free. And another point, I figured that it's easier to talk to parents when you have a very logical explanation or a logical speech more than an emotional speech. So I know it may be hard, but try not to get emotional and try to talk to them as calmly as possible and give them good enough reasons why you feel like you need help. I think that would really help help in making your parents listen a little bit, because I feel like it would also show that you are more mature in the situation and you really do want help. What's your coping mechanism when you're feeling depressed? If I be like straight up honest with you guys, I vape a lot. Like I smoke or like I vape, or I don't drink a lot. I mostly smoke or vape. I know it's not the greatest option, but I'm trying to fix it as well. I think a positive coping mechanism that really helps me is singing. Sometimes I talk to my friends about it, sometimes I don't. But mostly I think as I started to grow older, I think I started to enjoy my time alone a lot. It is kind of dangerous because sometimes when I'm alone, like I don't have the greatest thoughts. But aside from coping mechanism, I feel like something that really helps is just a good balanced diet and a good sleep schedule and lots of water. If those three things are balanced, your body is able to function properly. I feel like when you're depressed, like you don't function properly because loss of appetite, you know, insomnia, you might not be able to sleep, etc, etc. But yes, very important to keep up with those three things: sleep, good diet, and lots of water. What do you want to do with your younger self around 16? 16-year-old Sophie was a very stupidly curious kid for absolutely no reason. Like I'm not talking about like just like curious cat, I'm talking about like curiosity killed the cat. It's pretty bad. Honestly, I just want to tell her to like chill the fuck out, dude. Honestly, like just chill. When I was younger, I really wish I had a higher self-esteem or like higher confidence, just because I feel like I relied on so many fucking people for validation and confidence. Like it was never my confidence or never my self-esteem. It was always like forged from other people, which makes it low-key kind of, you know, kind of sad. I know that should have came from myself. I know I should have developed it myself, but I didn't get to, because I felt like at the time relying on people and getting validation from other people was still my confidence or my self-esteem, which is not the greatest way to do it. But if it's anything, I think it would have been more important for me to spend more time alone, because I was constantly around people all the time. Like I would be out with my friends every single day and I had no time to myself, like no time for self-reflection, like no time for anything, just constantly relying on people and, you know, getting into like jumping into relationships and not being able to take care of myself like I should have. What do I do if the support doesn't help? I know this for sure. A lot of people go through a bunch of therapists, but they aren't right for them. And I feel like that's probably the reason why you think it won't help. But finding a therapist that is right for you is also a very big journey. It's a very big commitment. So if you find a therapist that is right for you eventually, then I feel like you'll be fine. But you know, if all goes wrong and you go through like a bunch of therapists and it still doesn't help, then, you know, like as brutal as it is to say, I guess you're on your own. I mean, I guess we're on our own. It's just a constant healing journey of loving yourself. I also want to say that therapists aren't like, they're not here to do your healing for you. They're a healing aid. If you're not prepared to receive the help, then it's not gonna help. Nothing will help. No matter how good the therapist is, if you're not ready to take it, then it'll never help. So it's really important to be ready and open and pretty much be ready to like face your fears, I guess, or like what's lurking inside. Yeah dude, because at the end of the day, it's all us. Like it's all you, right? Like I said, view how you change the world, not the world viewing you. Yeah. How to deal with PTSD. If I share my personal experience with you, I feel like I have a lot of PTSD from relationships. So I have a lot of PTSD. So I feel like I've developed a lot of like toxic defense mechanisms or coping mechanisms when it comes to relationships. Like everything else is fine. And I feel like when you have PTSD, you tend to bring out this like different side of you only when a certain situation hits or a certain emotion starts attacking you, if that also makes sense. I'm also still dealing with that. A thing that really helps me is to, again, accepting is a really big factor. The more I grow to accept what happened, it's a lot easier to move on. Because dude, I feel like the only reason why we have PTSD is the fact that like we're still like low-key suffering in our memory, you know? It's like your brain has learned what to do in these certain situations. So it's almost like you have to like relearn them, like unlearn and relearn, which is really hard. I feel like it's not a bad idea to go seek for a therapist, just because I feel like your therapist could probably help you pinpoint where you need to start or like where you need to unravel what's, you know, kind of tangled. Because personally for me, like I don't even know where to start. Like I really don't. like I know roughly why I have like the shit that I have, but it's like once I start like diving into it, it's just like, is it really that big of a deal anymore? And then I start like questioning myself, and like at this point I don't really know what it is or like how deep down it is or where it is. So yeah, I would really like to have some help in unraveling that as well. So I think seeking a therapist is actually not a bad idea at all. Again, I would really like to emphasize the fact that mental illnesses are mental illnesses for the reason of being a fucking damn illness. They're not just like phases, they're an actual illness. So most of the times we can't do them by ourselves. Like we can't figure them out by ourselves. So don't beat yourselves down too much, right? Do you think I can go through it without a therapist? I'm gonna say here yes and no. First of all, I feel like it depends how bad your symptoms are at the moment. Second of all, also a really big question like I mentioned earlier, are you ready to receive help? That's a really big one. Third, is your ego getting in the way? This is also a very big question to ask yourself. I feel like from this question I'm kind of feeling a lot of like, tell me if I'm wrong, but like, so do you think I can like go through it without like a therapist, that kind of thing? I'm saying this because I used to say that a lot. I don't know, like you're not me, but I used to say that a lot because a part of my ego would tell me like, oh, if you get a therapist, like you're weak as fuck, dude. Like, and I know that's not true. I'm not weak. I just like, my ego just keeps getting in the way because asking for help is not my forte. And from this question, I kind of feel the same thing. So if you're watching, I really hope you consider these 3 questions. How would you manage anxiety and social anxiety? You know the funny thing? People actually don't really give a fuck about your lives as much as you think. Like, it's brutal as to say, like, no one really actually gives a fuck about your life. Like, some people they do, but like most of the people they don't. Like, think about it. When you were in high school and you did some stupid shit, or like if someone else did some stupid shit, do you remember that? No, not really. Like, if you forcefully try to remember, then yeah, you remember it, but like, is it constantly like on your mind? Are you shaming them 24/7? No. Like, let's say you go into a restaurant and someone's like wearing something weird, or like let's say the like waitress like broke a plate. Is it embarrassing at the moment? Kinda, yeah. But are you as a third person going to remember that for the rest of your life? Probably not. It's gonna last like 10 minutes or something. We're like, oh yeah, someone like, you know, dropped something, or like, but do you honestly really care enough that much about the other person to shame them or remember them? Like, do you honestly have the energy? 99% of people don't actually have energy to shame you. They have so much shit going on with their lives already, like no one really gives a fuck. I think that makes me like so much more comforted sometimes, just because like, oh yeah, like people don't really give a shit about my life as much as I think they do. So next time you have social anxiety, or like, so next time when you're anxious in like certain like social settings, then remember that people don't care as much as you think they do. It's all in the mindset, dude. If you own it, you fucking own it. If you don't own it, you don't own it. Walk outside like you own your fucking street, dude. Just who cares? Okay guys, I think that's gonna have to be it for today, just because there were a lot of questions. I would also like to thank you guys all for participating, since these are all very vulnerable and sensitive topics. I really appreciate the participation. Thank you for coming out and opening up to me about your concerns and questions. I'm assuming this video is going to be very long, so I didn't know if you guys wanted to like watch all of this, so I kind of shortened it down, unfortunately. But if you guys want a part 2, I still have lots and lots of questions left, so please let me know if you want a part 2. I tried to answer all of your questions as thoughtfully and from my heart as possible, so I really hope you guys know that. And again, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or a psychologist, but I really hope this helps, since this is some of my personal experience. I just want you guys to know at the end of the day that you guys are not alone, as I am also not alone. Or sometimes I feel like I'm alone, but I'm actually not alone. Anyways, like I said, I really hope this helped. If you stayed till the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, if you want a part 2, let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!